Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and that clip is officially 6 years old as AEW was announced on this day back in 2019. Happy New Year, everyone out there. We are now embarking on a new journey in professional wrestling, which is why, in the thumbnail, I call this the streaming era of professional wrestling, because tonight on AEW Dynamite, it will be the mother of all simulcast. I think I said that right. Which is what Tony Khan is calling it, as AEW Dynamite for the first time will be streamed on Max, along with being on its usual time slot on TBS. And that is huge. Then we go a couple days, next Monday. We are just days away from the WWE being on Netflix, with Raw being on Netflix every Monday night. No longer being on cable TV. It is going to be literally what we are embarking on starting tonight with AEW Dynamite, is the streaming era of professional wrestling. We are going to be embarking on a era of wrestling where we are going to have wrestling on demand anytime we want. And now look, I get it. You're going to say, well, we had the WWE Network. Yeah, we had the WWE Network. We had Peacock. AEW was kind of behind, but they were a new company, and now they're finally catching up to the WWE, where they're on a streaming platform and being on Max. That's huge. So many fans of wrestling today came back into pro wrestling because of AEW. When AEW was announced in 2019, it brought people who hadn't watched wrestling in a while back to professional wrestling. Like I said, the WWE was, it was peak. Vince McMahon needed to be gone from the company, like creative-wise. We needed Triple H to take over then. Look, 2019 WWE, that's like an entire video I can do about how awful that was. And honestly, if you really want to know how awful it was, compare this picture of Roman Reigns at the end of 2019, covered in dog food, to what Roman Reigns is now, and you'll understand why. Randy Orton even said he used AEW as a leverage to get a better contract with the WWE. That's huge. A guy like Adam Copeland, Edge, who was retired way before AEW was even thought of, made his return in 2020 to the WWE. We all thought he was a lifer in the WWE. He was one of those guys that, he's a WWE guy through and through. And then Adam Copeland tonight will be on the main event, what I'm assuming is going to be the main event, teaming with FTR, rated FTR, against Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. And again, Jon Moxley was still in WWE at this point. He was on his way out. Adam Copeland, Edge, he was retired. We were still a year away from him potentially, a year from him coming back, but we had no idea he was going to be coming back. But when he left WWE in 2023, he was able to do something he wasn't able to do before. He was able to go to Tony Khan and say, this is what the WWE is offering me. What can you offer me? And he can go back to Triple H, go back to Vince, and go, this is what they're offering me. What can you offer me? Can you match it? Whatever. But that is what makes AEW so good, is that the wrestlers are winning in all of this. They're able to take their talents to different places, have matches with people that they've probably never thought they were going to have matches with. And again, in the end, the fans are the winners because we wanted competition for the WWE for decades, and now we got it. And now we have wrestling on demand anytime we want. You go to Max right now. AEW content is on Max. Netflix is slowly adding WWE content to their service. I think Peacock still has WWE stuff on there. Their contract is up at the end of the year. So, yeah, I think you still need Peacock for the PLEs for WWE for at least another year before everything officially goes over to Netflix. But to think right now where we are with professional wrestling, AEW bringing folks back to wrestling, and with the WWE as hot as it's ever been, professional wrestling now has an opportunity, being AEW being on Max, Raw being on Netflix every week. Not only could this bring back fans who maybe stopped watching, but also this will bring in new fans. I've said it before on this channel, AEW has long needed to outgrow the hardcore fan base. They needed to bring in new fans. They need to bring in the casuals that can bring in the casuals and then give them a reason to stay. And now with AEW being on Max, WWE being on Netflix, if you're someone who hasn't watched wrestling in a while, and you're just scrolling through Netflix or you're going through Max and you're like, what's AEW? Oh, I haven't watched wrestling in a while. Let me check this out. Same thing with WWE. Oh, Raw's on Netflix. I haven't watched WWE in a while. I want to check this out and see what is going on. And so this is going to be huge for professional wrestling because now it's going to be seen in front of many, many more viewers. I'm not saying it's going to have all their subscribers are going to be watching wrestling, but it's going to bring in a new audience. It's going to help grow the professional wrestling fan base. And I think that's kind of what we've needed to see from both ends, WWE and AEW, because you can because the hardcore fans are going to watch no matter what. It doesn't matter. I mean, look, people complained about WWE in 2019 and said they were going to stop watching, and they still watched the very next week. The Attitude Era took wrestling mainstream in the 90s. And, it was WCW, WWE fighting every week for ratings. And now, with HBO, with AEW on Max, you got Raw on Netflix, and soon the whole WWE library going to Netflix. They're going to now have ways to reach an audience that they previously weren't able to get before. They're going to be able to bring in new fans. And when I say, WWE is going to be doing these international shows in March, on the road to WrestleMania, where it's going to be Raw and SmackDown in different countries in the lead up to WrestleMania. They're talking about airing these shows live when they are live in those countries. So we would potentially get a Raw at 3 o'clock in the afternoon here in the States because of the time difference. So now the time difference doesn't matter because now both AEW and WWE can air these shows live when they are happening overseas. They don't have to wait to air these on tape delay. They don't have to tape the shows. They don't have to do any of that no more because they're not going to be restricted. Now, yes, I do get that AEW still might be restricted because they're still being shown on TBS. But I do think we're going to get to a point where probably TBS is going to be phased out. And I think AEW is eventually going to be exclusively on Max. Just like how the WWE is going to be exclusively on Netflix for the next 10 years. And I do think that this is going to be a huge win for the professional wrestling business. This is going to bring in a whole new era of fans. It's going to bring fans back. And it's going to be good for everybody. Going to be interesting. I think the streaming, what I call this era now in the thumbnail, the streaming wars, the streaming era of professional wrestling is going to give wrestling, I think, the biggest boost it has seen in a long time. It's going to open up the product to new fans. It's going to bring fans back. And I'm excited to see where this is all going to go. I think AEW has long needed to be on a streaming platform. The WWE for so many years was like, hey, $9.99 for pay-per-views. And then when AEW came around, it was like, oh, $50 for a pay-per-view? So, yeah. I'm excited. The streaming era of professional wrestling is here. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, AEW Dynamite on Max, Raw on Netflix on Monday night, which I will be live streaming the very first Raw on Netflix this Monday, and I will have a predictions video for that show coming up later this week because they are treating it like a PLE, and I'm excited to see what happened on that show. What is going to happen tonight on Dynamite? Are we going to see some surprises? Comment below. What do you guys think is going to happen on the first AEW Dynamite on Max? Comment below. And do you think this is going to be a good thing for professional wrestling? Are you excited for it? Comment below. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.
Ringside Cinema, where the battles roar. Ringside Cinema, legends at the core. Tune in, feel the rush. Wrestling meets the screen. Ringside Cinema, living out the dream. Living out the dream. Living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers for heroes we know. Ringside forever bold. Wrestling never